WorkXplore, a powerful tool for viewing and marking up different files. We're going to start out with importing data. You can import data in multiple different ways, from the Explorer window on the left to the File Open area, even to drag and drop. So in this case, you can see how we're navigating through the File Explorer. You can see how we can go to File Open, and then you can see the different varieties of file types that you can import into WorkXplore. This includes STEP, CATIA, NX, and so on. We can also go in to dragging and dropping right from File Explorer. We drag and drop, you will see some of these import options. This shows all the different available files that are associated to that CATIA product file that we're opening. This gives us the option to choose whether it's going to be transparent or not, and you can see how it imports the entire assembly. So with this, we're going to go ahead and reset the transparency. So it's back to the normal transparency. You can see how there's a tree structure as well as a layer structure for importing in data, and this allows us to filter in the file like as if we were looking at it from a different product. So within here, we're going to go ahead and rotate this so you can see the cavity side of this mold. Additionally, we have visualizations. You could change the way the view rendering shows, so you can go from shaded, shade with outline, wireframe, and even some of the transparency areas. So within WorkXplore, we're going to go ahead and set some transparencies. You can set the transparency specific to the face. When we're selecting, you can select a specific transparency to a face to make it basically see-through, or you can reset it, and it resets everything back to where it was. Additionally, we can set the transparency for the entire element as well, so 100% to 0%, so you can set the transparency for that specific item. Additionally, with this, we can also reset that transparency too. And while we're in this topic of visualizations, we can also use the color changing options. You could change the color of any of these blocks as you choose to on the fly, and it'll change the color of the block specifically to what you're selecting. And now we'll go into Show Hide. You can select individual entities, select individual file types, select individual colors, and you can show hide different items. You can flip the visibility for what you're hiding, what you're not, and then you can say Show All and pick specific areas, such as the model, so you can only see, let's say, 2D wireframe. We also have an established layer tree structure, which you've seen earlier. You can see how if we're importing this data from a tree structure, you can filter from that tree structure. And it also has a layer structure as well, so where we can import in the data from a layer structure. So within here, we can adjust our layers and visually see what is visible. WorkXplore also has a nice way of deleting items. So you can delete items, but it's not officially deleted. It's actually placed into a recycle bin area. So you can retrieve that item and put it back into your area, or in that delete area, you can actually empty your recycle bin as well, which would permanently delete it from the file. During the process of analysis, you can also do a dynamic section within WorkXplore. So you can see how you can take your section, we can flip the direction around, and you can actually drag that section. So adjusting the angle direction that you want, you can drag that section wherever you want to. We can flip it back and adjust the section again. And then we could also do rotational sections. So you can see how you can do a rotation in the X, Y, Z, and it adjusts that rotation as needed. Now we're going to go into dimensioning and marking up our file. So we could choose one entity and it basically just pick a line and get the information about that line. We can also do the distance between two entities where we select two planes, let's just say, or two faces, and it gets the information of how the distance is between X, Y, Z of those two lines. As you can see, we can drag the labels wherever we want to. Now we're going to review how to create a text leader. I will start just picking a random point on a face. You can give that label whatever name you want. That label is fully customizable from the text size, from the background color, from the box size, and so on. So as you can see, we're making some quick adjustments to the text leader that we have here. Additionally, you can add general text into your part. So if we pick an area of your part, you can add general text. So for example, we could select this and type in die part, and that's going to leave that general text on your part. And then when we adjust the view, we can actually plot out dimensions. So I'm going to look at this from a top-down view. We're going to go to Creation, and we're going to go ahead and select our 2 dimensions. We go point to point here. So if I select a point, and we select our secondary point, you can get an accurate dimension and plot out a dimension on your part. This can be used for doing screenshots and so on. So additionally, within your rotations, we could change our view rotation as well as add another axis system. So if I go into the creation area and I select axis system, you have the ability of creating an axis from the origin, by 3 points, by a plane, by 2 lines, and so on. So if we click plane here, you can select a plane and confirm that work plane. Now when we make that work plane as our active work plane, when we change our views, the views are going to be in relevance to that new work plane that we just created. So if we look at our views now, you will see that the view orientation is now in relevance to the new work plane that was created. Now I'll review some of the analysis features within the WorkXplore software. We're going to start out with draft and undercut. This will real quickly indicate any vertical walls, any negative draft, any positive draft being green, negative draft being red, and then the vertical walls being blue here. So as you can see, this is showing as this is a multiple part. It's a quick way of studying the part to see if there's any trouble areas. Now we're going to use bounding box. When we select the part, you can see the part's XYZ coordinates and relevance to the current origin that you have. This also can be referenced minimal to the part, and then you can also see how much the part weighs based on the material that you assign. This also shows the volume of that bounding box as well, so you can see the different information about the part and the material that the part could be assigned to. You see how the weight changes based on materials I switch to. Then, if I want to get general information about the part, I can search the part by entities, by faces, and mass properties. We'll go ahead and select the entity of the part, and you can see the general information about the part. It will tell you the materials that are assigned, the weight, and it'll tell you general information about the part. We can also select a face, and it gives you the total area, periphery of the face, and it tells you where that face is in relevance to XYZ. And then we can select mass properties for this entity, and it will show the materials just like bounding box. The difference with this one is it'll show the material of the part and not as a bounding box. Next, we're going to go ahead and do a compare and overlay. Let's say we get revision data. You can see how there's differences based on the colors of each of these different parts, but we can also use the overlay and compare function inside of WorkXplore. When we go ahead and select both parts, it will highlight the parts in different colors. So you can see your common area shows up as one color, body differences in the first color, body differences in the second color will be added. You can see where it's going to show extra material versus less material based on the parts. I can isolate only the difference areas so I can see literally only changes that have been done. Now we'll talk about exporting the part. So within WorkXplore, there are several different options for exporting the part, whether you're doing it by a print, where this is showing you a print preview of what is going to be in the print screen. You can choose your different printer settings in here. We can also take additional screenshots of this. So when we're taking a screenshot, you can choose a rectangular screenshot, you can do a window and save this out as an image file or instantly bring this into Microsoft Word. Additionally, when we're exporting, you have some save options, so you can choose a step, IGES, DXF, work in C, and so on. So you can export this file out directly as these different file types. And for anybody that doesn't have a CAD software, there is a exporter that has an executable, so anybody that doesn't have a CAD software can open this file up. This is going to send the file out as an executable. We'll save our example to the desktop, and when we save it, you can give the file a name. You can give this file some information. You can encrypt the file by putting a password into it, and this will force the user to have to input in a password to actually open the file up. We're going to skip that in this case, and let's open up that file. So let's pretend I'm on a computer that doesn't have a CAD software. You will see that it's going to give us an executable of WorkXplore, and when we open up this file, it'll open up as WorkXplore as more of a limited area. We could still change the views, we could still change the rendering, we can put measurements into this, and we can look at this file without having a CAD software. As you can see, WorkXplore is your #1 stop for all your CAD viewing needs.